Okay.
The park needs some trees for shade because it's really hot, but they still should have a water fountain.
That park is not the right place for what the city is trying to put there.
Conundrum Park has been the source of a lot of projects going on. In fact, the neighborhood empowerment projects, I think we got quite a bit of money over the last 2 years to do that. And Jim and Monica happen to know a lot about it because they actually brought the idea to us and we're partners in the grant.
Okay. It's my understanding that there were playground instruments already and so already were used in the buffer for that park. So it won't change anything with regard to buffers that were already established.
1, 2, 3.
Outside of that.
I didn't. Okay.
Let me get I'm gonna do my water fountain first.
Okay, good.
Okay, make it like for kids if they are not feeling good.
Steps of this action right now, okay? Everybody's rolling up to get the stickies on the board, so you want to get a good shot. That's a good shot, right? All right, see if we can get that.
Can you guys please stop giving me the cards?
About
Just put it somewhere. Okay? This is a blanket. Because like you can be creative and like think of more stuff about like that you want to do like for the park or like for your career when you get older. And I think it's just good that this is that Monica and Jim let us come and like make the world a better place.
Yeah, and by Jim and Monica opening this opportunity and asking for your help, you're helping them. So it's like we're working together, we're collaborating, and we're helping each other to make a big impact on the whole community.
This is
Yes.
the best fun that I had in my whole entire life.
You like it?
I like helping people.
You like helping people? Okay, Delia, I know you're full of ideas.
So first, about what we should put in the container, whatever it's called.
The shipping container? Uh-huh.
Maybe like folding pins, so there could be like a family day where you could come here, and then you could have a bowling contest to see who gets the most you pass it to me. And I thought, maybe the bowling balls could be like that, and maybe shuffling stuff, gardening stuff, for if somebody like wants to dig or something.
We did say sandbox too. Did we get sandbox written on the list?
Sandbox was up there. Got it? Okay.
Lots of good ideas.
A rock climbing wall.
Rock climbing wall.
Another one that I thought about is there could be on the things that he was talking about. There could be a kids band with kids that and they could make their own song and their team.
Living in the city. We're just living in the city. Oh, living in the city. Well, it's hard, it's hard, it's hard.
Full guys, I'm trying to open one up at Cloud 22 Glassworks, 22 North Saginaw. Until recently, we were going to be okay to try to apply, but Hidden River Park has now become a Kaboom grant nominee, or regardless, they're going to be getting some money for it. And it's hard to say that a park for kids isn't a good idea. I mean, come on, I have kids. But however, I do not want my kids playing anywhere near that park. That park is not the right place for what the city is trying to put there. It's across the street from these potentially wonderful bistro lights, across the street from my reputable pawn shop. There's a beer and wine store on the corner, and my head shop. It's just not the right vision that I have seen for this downtown. I'm going on 20 years down here, guys. I know I look very young. I have been down here quite some time. And I need for the downtown to miss the boat with this cannabis initiative. We're doing everything right. There are going to be amazing dispensaries. We had to fight hard to get them in downtown. And now with this park, I call it an area between two buildings that a lot of homeless people like to hang out in, is not the right spot. But one more event, and it's about parking day. I know that they spend a lot of time on it, but in my opinion, it's a farce. It does not work, and it hinders the businesses on Saginaw Street that try to have people park there during their parking day. And if someone wants to play chess, go to our beautiful Hidden River Park. Thank you.
Hidden River Park has been the source of a lot of projects going on. In fact, the neighborhood empowerment projects, I think we got quite a bit of money over the last 2 years to do. And Jim and Monica happen to know a lot about it because they actually brought the idea to us and we're partners in the grant, consultants on that particular grant. So, and I think your idea is well taken because it is multi-purpose. This isn't just, we got 28 parks in the city of Pontiac. Some of them are playground, exclusively playground parks. This is part of a greater idea of developing CNU and all the others that downtown need to have green space. We need to have green space. So, which is how you develop the green space. And I think one of the things you brought in was to have a
shipping.
To have a performance.
Yeah, shipping container that acts as a stage.
It's not a exclusive playground park, it also has, some other features that make it multi-use, which it has been used.
Item number 13 is some good news, resolution to authorize the mayor to submit and execute the Kaboom Play Everywhere Challenge Grant agreement in the amount of $56,500.00 for the Good Fund and Sound Abounds downtown project.
Absolutely.
Ms. Riley.
Good afternoon. I am pleased and grateful to present on item number 13.
The question I have is probably a question for Mr. Chubb. Adding this playground equipment to Hidden River Park, does that affect the medical marijuana provisioning centers that would be designated in that area?
Good afternoon, Council President. To the extent that the park previously did not have playground equipment, and this would turn it into a park with playground equipment consistent with our ordinance, I believe it's 2357, then the buffers that would apply to the park where they previously did not. So if there are eligible properties near the park, the buffers would be created and it could buffer out some spaces.
So is there any way that we can accept this grant with the conditioning of it staying the same as far as the designation? No, what I'm saying is, the grant is from Kaboom. We are accepting the money in order to do the facility. Even though it's zoned as a park, it doesn't have any grass. It's not a traditional park in the sense of what our parks are. So I'm just asking.
It's my understanding that there were playground instruments already, and so we already were using the buffer for that park. So it won't change anything with regard to buffers that were already established.
Right.
Yes, Attorney Sharp.
I would imagine just to chime in with Attorney Chubb just said, if it was a park, it was a park, regardless if there was equipment or not. So therefore, you would still use, as he said, those buffers. So regardless if there was equipment, if it was determined that it was a park prior to, it's still going to be obviously a park, whether there's equipment or not. Correct, Attorney Chubb?
The distinction is with respect to Ordinance 2357, it does distinctly state the buffers apply to a park with playground equipment. And so it typically would only apply to one with playground equipment, but it's my understanding that it was determined that this park already did have such equipment in it, and so none of the buffers would change.
The Hidden River Park never had playground equipment. It had a fountain. Never had any playground equipment since I've been alive.
I'd also like to clarify, the purpose of this grant is a Play Everywhere grant.
Marijuana down there, when you're talking about something for a kid.
What a Play Everywhere grant is, it allows non-conventional play spaces that are not necessarily designated or allocated as that. So you equip the area with play space, but it's not a traditional play equipment. What it is some musical instruments that are there that have elements of play, but it is non-conventional play equipment that will be provided there.
So just from an enforcement perspective, receiving this grant, putting this non-traditional playscape or whatever it is, does that then change the definition or not? Because my thing is, we should be able to accept this grant, not change the definition, and just put this equipment in the park. That's my thought, but I need to make sure that that's legal.
And speaking to John Baylant, we installed playground equipment back in January, and so all of the buffers or children's equipment in January, so all of the buffers have been applied, including this park.
Okay, so is there a motion to suspend the rules?
I move. Support.
Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call?
Taylor Burks. Waterman.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Woodward.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, now we got to vote on it, so. All right, resolution to authorize the mayor to submit and execute the Kaboom Play Everywhere Challenge Grant agreement in the amount of $56,500.00 for the Good Fun and Sound Abounds Downtown Project.
Move.
Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call?
Taylor Burks.
Yes.
Waterman.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Woodward.
Yes.
All right, motion passes, which brings us to item number 14.
Small entrepreneurial space. I mean, the sidewalk code is really supportive of placemaking. I mean, you can build a big blank wall, right?
This conference was very great and inspiring to me to build new things and make new ideas.
And also from Pontiac joining us, we have Michelle Kuzinski, who's a teacher with Oakland Family Services, and she has brought our great friend Ethan with her. Ethan, give us a sense. What did we start over the summer? We're at the beginning phases of a pilot program, and you guys were the drivers and the catalyst for that this summer. It was a happy, spontaneous accident that we ran into Michelle as she was bringing the students downtown, and we've done pilot programs, but this was a very informal that just kind of blossomed from us meeting and saying, hey, let's go tour the city. Ethan, tell us what we did over the summer and what your thoughts are.
So what we did was we wrote notes that what we wanted to do to help the city and what we wanted to add into it. And we put it on these boards, and then one of them said future, past, and present. So, and we came up with ideas to make everything useful, not just say, I don't want it and just throw it away. We made something new in life, and we helped it.
And so we have been working with them since 2012. We've made some great strides and progress with the parks in the city of Pontiac that we're very proud of. And we're just, continuing to work in concert with the city to try to improve our parks. We have a long way to go because our parks do not represent the way that parks should look. Pontiac is in the middle of one of the wealthiest counties in the country. However, when you visit Pontiac Parks and then you go to Auburn Hills, you go to Waterford, you go to Clarkston and other areas bordering Pontiac, you will find a stark difference in the quality of those parks, the amenities of those parks, the care and maintenance of those parks. So we have a long way to go, but we have accomplished a lot. And what I want to talk about today, after talking with Monica, I wasn't sure of what the call was about, but I didn't realize that you kind of have an expanded outlook on, Pontiac and focusing on the city of Pontiac for the Phoenix Center. So I kind of decided to kind of narrow my comments down to 3 areas that I consider strong possibilities for Pontiac, because we're here thinking possibilities. We're not thinking realities, we're thinking possibilities. And so I want to present 3 possibilities that our group is looking at and hopefully, working towards. Before I say it, I want to preface it by saying that the lack of unity in our community is costing the city quite a bit. And Deming said, the guy that the father of quality, made the statement years and years ago, the real cost of quality is unknown and unknowable. And that's kind of how I feel today about the cost of being disunified, when you can't work together. There's a cost. And that cost, I want to preface it, that cost is unknown and unknowable. So with that preference, there are 3 things that have great possibilities for the parks in the city. Number 1, our 2024 Parks and Rec Master Plan. That plan is one of the best that we have ever had. It was prepared by Kristen Whitfang at Oakland County Parks, master planner. And it really has the potential to be the guidepost for us going into this next decade. Pontiac currently is working under a master plan that expired in 2016. We currently do not have a relation with the state of Michigan Department of Natural Resources, because in order for us to have a working relationship with the DNR, we have to have a current 5-year master plan in place that has been approved by the DNR. The current master plan expired in 2016. Therefore, we are ineligible to apply for DNR grants. Wow. And we will be ineligible until such time as the city council approves the 2024 Parks and Recreation Master Plan. And that plan is then forwarded to the DNR for approval. So the possibilities here is that we really need to focus to do whatever we can to encourage our leaders to get that plan approved. I don't know what it is going to take. I'm not going to speak to that or address to that, but what I'm here is to say is we're currently operating under a plan that expired in 2016. We have no ability to be able to get back some of our own tax dollars from the state to help build up our parks. And so that's a concern that I feel that our leaders should be looking at very strongly. Secondly, Oakland County. It's already been brought up that the city of Pontiac is the county seat for Oakland County. Oakland County Parks has recently announced that they have a millage on the ballot on the November election that's coming out. They are asking for a slight increase in the Parks and Rec millage. Here again is amazing possibilities for the city of Pontiac. Were we on the same page? If we were on the same page, we are a city in the midst of the wealthiest county. We are the county seat, yet we have no county park. There is no discussion about a county park. There is really no direct administration of any of our parks by the county. And so really, when you look at what the residents of the city of Pontiac have gotten out of the Parks and Rec millage that benefits county parks, of which we have none in the city of Pontiac.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, great. So I am going to flip through pretty quickly because there's a lot here, and I think a lot has already touched on, like things that Bree was talking about and also what Kathleen was talking about really connect to some themes I want to touch on. So I won't spend too much time on this, but just a brief overview of kind of where we sit. I'll go into what Kaboom does in general. As an overview, we do grants. We're a grant making essentially organization around play spaces. We primarily have worked with playgrounds in the past, and we have multi-sport courts, adventure courses, some other versions of play spaces. And we also have these challenges, these grant challenges, including the Play Everywhere Challenge. This year's the Play Everywhere Design Challenge that we've done for 3 years with the Wilson Foundation in Southeast Michigan and Western New York. That aside, I'll go into kind of where we are right now as an organization. We've come a long way in the last couple of years to refocus on racial equity as a prime goal and something that we want to orient all of our work towards. So this is kind of touching on that. We know in general play is critical for physical, social, emotional health for kids. I think the next presentation will go into placemaking a bit, which is something we touch on a lot. So without places to play, kids are deprived of those opportunities. And essentially we see this as an equity issue. And some of these will kind of go into that, especially for kids of color. Play can be harder to come by. The way that a lot of communities are structured in terms of disinvestment, it's disproportionately affecting kids of color. So let's kind of skip ahead. Our goal, our vision is place-based equity. The way that we see the situation, 1 in 5 homes have parks within a half a mile, which we see as a goal that every kid should have access to a recreational space or center or park within a half a mile, but it's only that is Kaboom kind of in a nutshell and where we have been and are today. I'm gonna share a different screen now to get at what I also wanted to touch on. Can people see this now? Should say Play Everywhere. Design. Okay, great. Thank you. So this is this other grant program that we've done for a number of years now, and I think it's most relevant to you all in Southeast Michigan. So the Wilson Foundation has dedicated around $1 million each time for a number, the number has changed, but for a number of grantees. I think the examples are really powerful to kind of explain what Play Everywhere is because it's somewhat ambiguous. The idea is that communities are coming up with their own unique ideas to bring access to play in areas where kids and families are already spending time, but there isn't access to play. So that can be at the laundromat or a bus stop or an area of the downtown where kids need to go with their parents, but there isn't anything for them. And so over the years, we've seen so many really awesome creative ideas come through, and we funded dozens at this point. And so we've been able to see them come to fruition. Here are a few examples that kind of get at it. This is the full gallery. But what I think is so powerful is that it is personalized to the community. So it's something that comes from the community. There's a great example here in Mount Clemens. It involved a mural as well as playful elements, and the mural had community-specific and historical elements of Mount Clemens incorporated into it, which we found very powerful. There have been ideas this year that I've particularly been drawn to that have incorporated ideas of racial equity, especially in the current kind of climate, that feeling really powerful. So I think it's this really kind of unique situation. You can see just as simple as a mural or a way to make a crosswalk a little bit more engaging. These can be a whole range of ideas and scope. I see a chat just in case. Okay. Thank you for that note that I just received. So folks can definitely explore this website on their own as well. As a lot of these have not come to fruition yet, but you can see kind of where ideas have started. And this is just another example of our grant making process. We're also engaging with groups in Philadelphia and across the country for Play Everywhere. But this I felt was most relevant to, obviously, to Michigan. And the last thing I was going to raise, which I mentioned earlier, is this article from Sienna, who I work with directly, about parks not being public and equal until Black kids belong. I find it really powerful. I encourage everyone to check it out. But essentially speaking to the institutional racism we feel at all levels, especially in public spaces, and something that we're still committed to. And I guess in conclusion, we are figuring out how to adapt to a lot of things this year. I think as a lot of folks feel, 2020 has thrown in a lot of new factors and elements that have created some opportunity. As I spoke about with Monica and Jim a few weeks ago, there's some new room for opportunity and also some ways that we really have to shift. So there's so much to talk about, but I want to open it up for some more discussion or any sort of questions.
And I think there was a question, and also I just wanted to introduce, we have a Placemaking US forum that's going to start, but a lot of that focus is around kids in cities. So maybe we can just crash this all together, and they're joining us, and now that we're in an open discussion, I'm sure that they're excited about that conversation. And Lair, did you have a question for Katie?
Lair did message me privately, but just about something else. So
Okay. Well, I saw his hand raised, so anyways.
I see.
Just go back over to one thing I had a question for you, Katie. Do you find that cities somehow, I know that this happens here in our downtown, and we did the Play Everywhere challenge, and sometimes people associate Kaboom with playgrounds, but you also do the Play Everywhere, which is non-conventional play. And does that happen? Is that a pattern that you find?
What the pattern of what? Sorry.
Of folks associating your organization with playgrounds versus the Play Everywhere non-conventional, just play in general in cities. Seems like Play Everywhere challenges kind of evolved into. And has that been a difficult, is it like an association that you have to work through, or?
Definitely, yes, especially when describing Play Everywhere, because a lot of folks are like, great, so this is the playground we want. And so we have to shift expectations. But, and Blair actually just asked, does Kaboom consider drums to be playground equipment? No, I mean, I can see where that might be relevant.
This is politics there, Katie. We didn't want to get you too involved in dysfunction, but we have some, go ahead.
Well, so it's such a tricky line, but looking for anything that's not a traditional play structure with slides and things to climb on that are more conventional or come from that sort of vendor. But anything that's playful is totally valid for that sort of idea.
Awesome.
Is Blair still on?
Blair, do you want to unmute yourself there? You want to speak? I can't unmute him for some reason. I don't know why. Okay, anyways, that's I think that's more of a political question we're dealing with down here. All to be discussed at another time, but we had a drum installation at the Hidden River Park. I'm trying to find a picture here, but it was unrelated to the Kaboom grant that we did previously for Hidden River Park. So it caused some concern because it was classified as playground equipment, which kind of the zoning and all of that was something, but this was not related to Kaboom.
All right, which brings us to a special presentation. Mr. Gordon, please set your clock for 10 minutes. Parks and Rec Master Plan, Mayor Waterman and Vern Gustafson, Planning Manager, represent.
I am here as this is just to introduce something that Mr. Gustafson will continue as part of the agenda next week. But as many of you know, the city has 30 beautiful parks in our city, all caliber. And we have assembled a Parks and Recs master plan task force that has been working along with our planning department to develop revisions to our master plan to incorporate a number of the design concepts for various of our parks, as well as some grants that have been obtained not only by the city, but by other organizations. Park system is supported by the help of many groups, including the Friends of the Parks, a number of the foundations. And so all of their input has been brought into a vision of our Parks and Rec master plan, which has to be done every 5 years. Also, we want to mention the $600,000 grant from the Community Foundation for Southeast Michigan, Ralph C. Wilson, for the Junior Trails Maintenance Fund. And that is which their design, engineering, and construct improvements for the trail, the river trail between Pontiac Drive and Bagley Street. That's going to be done in partnership with our W. And the skate park, I mentioned that, as well as there are some design concepts for various of our major parks, including Galloway Lake Park, Crystal Lake Park, Hawthorne Park, and several of other nature parks. These are ideas that haven't been funded for what the strategic plan is, developing our parks for the enjoyment of our citizens. So that is there for your view. So these people were the advocates of our park system, realize that the city does not have the funding. In fact, the only thing that was put in the budget of the council was $100,000. To do 30 parks is quite expensive, considering the budget used to be much, much more. But I'm proud of our DPW for doing the job they have in doing upkeep for our parks. And as you see, there's a great vision. And if you read that Parks and Recs master plan, the idea of the vision we might have for concept for all the parks, how we kind of improve them as we have money. One of the stops getting the money is to getting a plan approved so that we can apply for grants from the DNR, which is the major source for municipalities for improvement of park plan. That's how we're going to contribute this process.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As you can recall, last year we were trying to approve the Parks and Rec Master Plan. I see there's some differences in this year's plan from last year's. My major concern, and I don't know if the portionographer or whoever is going to take it, so Mr. Gustafson can read this, but Hidden River Park was voted by resolution as a council not to be a park. As far as last year's master plan, that was still included to change that to a park. You mentioned that we had 30 parks. I didn't see the listing in the PowerPoint, and Mr. Gustafson's not here to answer the question. But I'm still having the same concerns about Hidden River Park as I did last year. And I know that getting grant money very important to the city forward. And I would hate to get to the same impasse we were at last year simply because of an unwillingness to change that kind of plan, what the council designated it as. So I just hope that in all that input and advisory that the city was getting from residents, that they took in the council's concerns and the reason that the plan didn't get voted on last year as part of it, because I think a lot of people have put in a lot of work into working on the parks. I know Health and Pontiac and others have done a tremendous job in parks utilized. And it would be a shame to reach an impasse because minds can come together and a reasonable deal with our resolutions. So that would be my statement on that.
And just for the record, Mr. President, I agree with you. Hidden River Park is still in there. It sure is going to be a no vote because I never heard of a Hidden River Park in all the years I've lived in the city of Pontiac.
But we hope, that's why we had that open period. We hope people will have their comments, all these comments, by January 5th. All right, to be the process.
What I'm saying to you, Madam Mayor, is if you know a month in advance that Hidden River Park is going to be a problem, and you continue it, and you said that in order to turn the plan to the DNR by January 25th, that needs to be voted on by the council. I don't see why we would play chicken with something that can be easily rectified.